6:30 p.m., we received 911 calls reference to a shooting that had just occurred in Killona, Louisiana. Detectives responded to the scene, of course. During the subsequent investigation, our detectives and deputies came upon the scene and learned that several people, victims, were outside of a grocery store in the 100 block of Killona Drive in the little community of Killona when the shooting took place. An unknown number of suspects had sneaked up from behind the convenience store from the west and essentially in an ambushed style attack opened fire on the group of males that were in front of the store. The responding officers located Darzell Washington, 29 years old, known as Zilly, who was shot multiple times and died at the scene. Darville Washington, I believe his brother, was shot multiple times, airlifted to University Medical Center, where he is currently in critical but stable condition. Dwayne Williams, 27-year-old, was shot multiple times. He was also airlifted to University Medical Center and is also listed in critical condition. Javon Lockett, 35 years old, was shot multiple times and initially was able to drive himself to a local hospital. He was later transferred to University Medical Center and is listed in stable condition. Officers also located a 14-year-old juvenile who was shot multiple times. He was transported to Children's Hospital, where he is listed in stable condition. Regarding the 14-year-old juvenile, there was a car crash reported as deputies were responding, and the juvenile's father had put him in a personal vehicle, and in an effort to try and get him to the hospital quicker, had a crash on River Road in the Hornville area, and deputies were able to get to the scene and transport the 14-year-old to the hospital. There's not a whole lot to tell you other than what I just did, because frankly, we're not getting a lot of information. We don't know how many people saw what happened, but obviously people did. We can't tell you how many shooters were there. We don't know if it was 1, 2, or 3. I think it's safe to say that we have been dealing with an inter-parish group of, I don't know what the proper word would be, family, clan, gang, cliques of individuals who are engaged in a cycle of violence, retaliation for violence, and it continues. It's been going on for months. I've had conferences with the other 2 sheriffs in St. John, St. James Parish. Multiple times our detectives are working together with those 2 parishes and the investigative divisions of those agencies as well. And they run up against pretty much the same thing that we do every time one of these happens. Nobody sees anything, nobody knows anything. We get a little bit of I heard from people, secondhand, sometimes third-hand information. Some of the same names keep popping up. So we do have an idea of who may be involved, but there's a difference between having an idea and having hard evidence that you can put in an arrest warrant and really bring those hoodlums, for lack of a better word, violent hoodlums, to justice. So it continues. So I guess the next step, we had a 14-year-old shot last night. I don't know what his involvement was, whether he's, was a totally innocent bystander, hopefully so. But the next step is, the next logical step to this cycle of violence that's going on in 3 parishes is that we're going to end up with a situation much like you had in New Orleans a couple of years ago, where you can have an infant who takes a bullet that goes through a mobile home or something of that nature. That's coming. That's next. And then the infant's going to be killed, or maybe 2 will be killed. And then everybody's going to want to know, why didn't they do something? What happened? How could this happen in this community? Well, now is the time to do something about it. There are people out there that know something. They know who did it. They know where the weapons are. Make the call. Call Crime Stoppers. Identify somebody before it's your child that gets shot and has to be airlifted with bullet wounds and all of the blood coming out of his chest. This is probably the 10th or 12th similar incident like this, maybe none with this many victims, in these 3 parishes we've had. We're all concerned about it. I spoke with Sheriff Martin this morning. He's got people on it working as well, but it's like every month we have one of these. So where's the next one going to be? In Edgard, in Gramercy, in Wallace? That's what's been going on. We had individuals at our scene last night who were behind the barriers talking about, in general terms, getting revenge. Not telling the police, not telling us so that we can go do something about what they're going to do. So frankly, I don't think this is the last one. I'm quite confident it's not the last one. So until the relatives and the friends and people connected with these individuals who think they're tough guys with guns come forward and do something to stop it, it's not going to stop. I don't see it stopping anytime soon. And they don't care who gets hit. 14-year-old gets hit, oh, no problem. We got the bad guy. This was an attack yesterday. This was a vindictive retribution for past wrongs, of whatever they may be. I can't say for sure because I'm not sure. We have an idea. We have speculation, but speculation doesn't get arrest warrants. Speculation doesn't work in court. But we can see what's going on. We patrol, and of course we increase patrols in the area. We all do, all 3 parishes. Every time something happens, things settle down for a few weeks. Okay, looks pretty good. And then it happens again. That's all I have. It's time for somebody to come forward and have the courage to call Crime Stoppers, anonymous, call, provide information, provide something that we can work with to get a warrant, go seize a weapon, do ballistics comparison. I can't believe we can't even have a witness who tells us how many shooters we had last night, and that includes a couple of our victims. It was at least 1, probably 2, maybe 3. We don't even know that. They had a surveillance camera at the convenience store, but I guess during the storm it ceased working, and we tried to get that. Detectives went door to door in the whole area last night trying to get surveillance, talking to people, getting information. Not much. Not much information. We need help from the community. We need help from the family members of these people, somebody who's going to have some courage, who's going to stand up, who's going to make a call, and again, call Crime Stoppers. Anonymous. People know. They know who did it. They know how they did it. They know what kind of vehicle they were in. And they need to tell us. Or else I'll be up here again, or Sheriff Martin, or Sheriff Tregg will be up here again when we got an infant who's dead in the morgue, and everybody's going to be crying about how terrible it all was when it happened. That's what's coming. So, excuse me for sounding frustrated. It's because I am. So, with that, I will take questions, but I'm going to try not to speculate any more than I already have. To me? Yeah, they had an incident which was, I don't know, a month or so ago. It originated out of a club in New Orleans, and yeah, that's more than likely connected to this ongoing dispute. Some of the common names keep popping up. But again, it's coming up in, we heard, we think, yeah. So yeah, it's all probably connected. Now, you can't get a warrant with probably connected. What you asked about drugs? You asked about drugs? I think drugs were probably at the core of all of this. Not every particular incident, because I think it has morphed out into retaliation, but yeah, drug and drug trafficking is probably at the core, if they even remember how it all started. But yeah, that's at the core of it.
You mentioned working with St. John and St. James. I was just curious how we know that they're connected because of the suspects that have been identified.
See, that's just what I was saying, about me speculating. A lot of the names keep coming up. It's the same names. You know, they're getting information kind of like we're getting it. People say, hey, I heard this, I heard that. They know, and so it's, again, it's not, let me be clear, it's not evidence that we can go get a warrant with, that we can put anybody in jail. It's information. And I'm just telling you what we believe. I don't think we have anything to lose by saying this at this point. We believe it's all connected. These are not just random incidents that happen. This is a cycle of retaliation. We know because some of the same actors who we hear may have been involved in previous incidents are involved in these. So, but again, it's just, we heard, and a lot of it is, it's somewhat speculation, but based upon hearing things over and over again. But again, we need more than that to get judges to sign warrants. Yeah.
Do you know yet who the target of the shooting was? Because there were 5 people out there, including the shop owner's son. Do you know who the target was?
Well, 4 of them were shot multiple times, so for me to stand here and say I believe one of these individuals was, one of them, who's the deceased, was shot multiple times and 3 times in the back, from what we know now. There hadn't been an autopsy. So, I mean, that would kind of tell me that was at least a target, or one of the targets. So, yeah, who was the target? Was there one target? Were there 2? Probably.
Sheriff, do you believe this is gang-related?
I don't want to limit it. I think part gang, part family, clan involvement here. We do have a lot of intersection among family members. So yeah, it's part gang, family, clique, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to limit it to just a gang. But it's part that as well. When you talk about drug trafficking and people involved in that, I mean, that's that's just a general term.
You said the victims are the victims cooperating with investigators?
Well, 3 of them are not in really good enough condition to cooperate, but no. Other than that, no, not really. Not cooperating. I don't want to get into that. We only located one type of shell casing at this scene last night, as of now, but 24 of them, I think, is the number. So whether that was one individual or with reloading, or 2 individuals with the same caliber, not sure.
The person who drove the juvenile along in the crash, was anybody else injured in that crash? Like car injury?
A couple of, I believe a couple of other of his children were in the car, but were not seriously injured, fortunately. So we were able to get them all to the hospital. Our deputies did. So,
You said that there have been about 12 shootings within the parishes, within St. Charles.
over the last year and a half or so, yeah, last year and a half,
How many were in just in St. Charles Parish?
3 or 4, I think, in the last year.
And currently, there's no video evidence that y'all been able to obtain?
Not that really helps us, no. I think they're looking, they went door to door, and I don't think there's a lot of surveillance cameras in the area there, but we're still looking for that. And we're asking anybody with that to provide it. If anybody does have it, drop it off anonymously, do something. Do something. I mean, we can do so much. And we're trying, and we'll be in there, we've been watching it. I mean, we've been really actually flooding some of these areas on pretty regular basis because we don't want to tip them off there every night we're going to be there to try and help deter some of this. Can't be everywhere every night, but, you know, and again, things settle down for, the pattern is something happens in St. Charles Parish, things settle down for a month or two or three, everything gets quiet, you know, and then next thing you know, something happens in Edgard. Everything gets quiet, something happens in Vacherie, then something happens in Boutique. So it's kind of a familiar pattern, you know, it's just when everybody thinks it's, might have been calmed down, here you go, you got this thing that happens. So it's frustrating. That's the facts right now. I wish I could tell you more. I wish citizens and people that know would tell us more. And again, I understand that people are concerned if you really know something. But there's anonymous ways to do it as well. That's what I'm trying to emphasize. I can understand being scared. These are some violent hoodlums. They don't care if a 14-year-old boy gets hit. I don't think they care if a baby gets. I really don't think they care. They are not thinking long term. So, call Crime Stoppers, anonymous. Give us some information, give us some help, so we can put somebody in jail. So, thank you very much. Obviously, I think I've exhausted your questions here. So.